Hello dear children, good afternoon everyone. So, you all know that now we are discussing about the 5th unit of your SST part, that is regions of the world. And in our previous class we have discussed about the types of grasslands. Okay, so these grasslands are the large fairly flat areas. So they are dominated by the growth of the grass. So there we can find very less or no trees at all. Okay, so they are called as the grasslands. So these grasslands are found in both the regions, even in the tropical regions as well as in the temperate regions. In both the regions we find the grasslands. So that we classified them as the tropical grasslands as well as the temperate grasslands. Likewise, here now in this chapter, that is the deserts, there also we are going to discuss about the deserts which are found in both the regions, such as the tropical and the temperate deserts, right? So about these tropical and temperate deserts and their location, climate, and also the flora, fauna, and how is the human life in these regions. So about this we can discuss in our today's class, right? So deserts, depending on their location, they are classified into two types. One is the tropical desert and the temperate desert, right? So before going to discuss in detail about these two kinds of deserts, they are the tropical and the temperate deserts. First we can understand what are deserts, right? First we can understand what are deserts, then we can able to understand the types of deserts and where they are located and what kind of climate is there in that area, right? So deserts. Now we can discuss about what are deserts. Okay. So deserts can be defined as large, dry and arid regions with very poor or sparse vegetation. Regions or the lands we can also call the arid lands, or we can call as the regions. Arid lands with space. Space means very poor vegetation. So there the growth of the plants will be very low. So we call as the space vegetation. So these are what the deserts. So how can we define the deserts? Deserts can be defined as large, dry and arid lands with sparse vegetation. Very low vegetation we can find here. Very low vegetation. The crops will be grow very rare here. Because see what happened here, the areas are dry. The dry areas are there and the arid. So arid means how can we, these arid lands, they are characterized by a scanty or no rainfall. of this very harsh climatic conditions, so that the life of animals, the humans, so the life is very difficult in these areas because of the low vegetation here. So there is very difficulty to get the food for the survival. So that it is very difficult to survive in these regions. But also the people who are living here, they are adapted to such drastic, means such harsh climatic conditions. And even the animals also there. Many animals are there here and many plants are there, and they are all having some certain specific characters. So those specific characters, they help the animals and plants to survive or to live in that climatic conditions, in that harsh climatic conditions. So these are the deserts. So the deserts, in some deserts we can find there is, for several years they will not get the rainfall. So such deserts are also there, and these deserts can be classified into two types. There are two types of deserts are there. So what we can call the tropical and temperate, that is depending on their location. We classify the deserts into tropical and temperate, and particularly what we call the deserts which are present in the tropical and temperate grasslands. So there are two types of deserts are there. One is hot deserts and another one is cold deserts. Hot deserts and cold deserts. So here also we classify the deserts into hot deserts and cold deserts. That is depending on the location. So basically on the location of the deserts, we call them as the tropical deserts as well as the temperate deserts. So here the deserts which are located in the tropical regions, so they are called as hot deserts. So these hot deserts we can find in tropical regions. So the deserts which are found in tropical regions are called hot deserts, because we know the tropical regions where it comes is, suppose if it is the earth, yes, so this is the equator, right? The equator which divides the earth into two equal halves, so that we call as the equator. And next to this, the Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle and Tropic of Capricorn and Antarctic Circle, right? So this is the equator, and the near to the equator, the zones we call as the tropical regions. The regions which are near to the equator, they are called as the tropical regions. And here, since it is at the middle, so there it will get the direct sunlight, so the temperature will be more. So when the temperature is more, we call them as hot deserts, right? Am I right? Yes. So these are the hot deserts because they are found in tropical regions, and because of the location of these tropical regions, they are near to the equator. So there we can get the more temperature, and then the deserts are hot. And next to this, the cold deserts. So these cold deserts are found near the temperate zones or the temperate regions. We can call them as the temperate zones, right? So these cold deserts, they are found in temperate zones. And where these temperate zones comes? Yes, here it is the Tropic of Cancer, and this is the Tropic of Capricorn, and this is the Arctic circle and this is the Antarctic circle. So here it comes the temperate zones, right? So they are near to the poles. So near to the pole means due to the tilt of the earth, these poles will not get the sunlight properly. So the regions are cold. So that the deserts which found in these regions are called cold deserts. So these are the two types of deserts. One is hot deserts which we can find in the tropical regions, and another one is the cold deserts which we can find in the temperate zones or the temperate regions. So these are the two types of deserts, and now in our today's class we can discuss about the tropical deserts, their location as well as the climate, flora, fauna and the human life in the tropical deserts. So now we can discuss about the tropical or the hot deserts. The tropical or hot deserts, before only I said, so they are found in the tropical means near the equator. So if it is the earth, so this is the equator which divides the earth into two equal halves, and this is the Tropic of Cancer, and this is the Arctic circle, and this is the Tropic of Capricorn, and this is the Antarctic circle. So here we can find the tropical deserts. So first what we are discussing now here, the tropical or hot deserts. So these tropical or hot deserts, they are located near the equator. So this is the 0° latitude. So this is what we call as the equator, which can divide the earth into two equal halves. That is the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. And the deserts which we can find near this equator, they are called as the tropical or hot deserts. So the first thing we can discuss Sonora Desert in the North America, and the Great Australian Deserts, the Great Australian Deserts in Western Australia, and the Atacama Deserts, in the South America, So these are some of the primitive deserts, or we can see the major deserts which we can find in the tropical or hot deserts. So some of the primitive or the major deserts in the tropical regions are Sahara deserts. It is there in the North Africa. The Kalahari deserts. So they are there in the South Africa. And Thar desert we can see in South Asia. And the Sonoran deserts which we can see in North America. And the Great Australian Desert we can see in the Western Australia. And the Atacama Desert we can see in the South America. So these are some of the primitive or the major deserts in the tropical or hot deserts. Right? So this is about the location of the tropical or the hot deserts. And now we can discuss the climate of the tropical or hot deserts. So since they are present near the equator, so the temperature will be more. That is why we give the name tropical or the hot deserts, because the temperatures are more here. So since they are present near the equator, the high temperature heat up the bare rocks and the loose sand, so that it is always dry. And since it is getting very less or the scanty, very less or no rainfall, so here these are very dry and arid regions, the tropical or the hot deserts. And during the summer, sometimes the temperature ranges between, generally it is from 30 degree to 45 degree Celsius. 30 degree to 45 degree Celsius. This is the temperature in the hot deserts. And sometimes it may exceed up to 55 degree Celsius if there is no rainfall for several years and all. So that time it may reaches up to 55 degree Celsius. And even we can see here the sky with clear, we can see the sky without clouds. So we can observe clear skies without clouds. So can you think why the skies are there without clouds? Can you say why? Are you able to think why the skies are clear without clouds or with no clouds? See, when the clouds are formed only when the moisture content is there, right? So when the water is present more, so that time due to the transpiration by the plants or by the process, the clouds gets formed. But here in the desert, there is no rain at all. And so there is the water bodies, they are not having the water there. So the water is present only in the oasis, right? So that since there is low water availability, so how the clouds can form with that much less water, right? And even the plants also lose very little amount of water through the transpiration, and that we can discuss in the later. So that since the water is present, the level of the water is less, so there is no cloud formation takes place, so that we can see the clear skies in the deserts. And it is during the summer. Yes, this temperature, it is during the summer. And in the winter, the temperature is as low as 0 degrees Celsius. The 0 degree, it is too cold. Yes, the 0 degree Celsius. And here there is a very large difference between the day and night temperatures. One thing you have to remember, the hot desert means whole day it will not hot only. There is a large difference is there in the temperatures of day and night. The daytime in the desert it is very hot, but in the night it is cold. So the climate is like that in the deserts. So the daytime it is very hot. Yes. So but the night times they are very cold in the deserts. Right. So this is about the climate of the hot or tropical deserts. And the next thing we can discuss about the flora. So here we know that the tropical deserts are dry and arid regions, and the plants which are growing in these dry and arid regions are called the xerophytes. The plants which grow in the dry and arid climatic conditions are called the xerophytes, and mostly we can see the kind of plants which we can see here are the cacti. So cacti, it is the plural form, and the singular form we can say the cactus. Yes, you have learned about this. The cactus, it is the singular form of cacti. Yes, the cacti, it is the plural form. So these cacti are the kind of plants, so we can call them as the xerophytes. So we can measure it. Primitively we can observe the cacti, and different kinds of cacti we can see in these regions, such as the barrel cactus and also the crimson hedgehog. We can say, I will write here, the barrel cacti and the crimson hedgehog, and also the prickly pear. So these are the some kind of plants which we can see in the tropical or hot deserts, and the plants which are growing in the hot and arid regions are called as the xerophytes. And these are some plants which we can found in the hot or tropical deserts, and we can also see some dates plants. Yes. So we can see the date the animals. So here some animals we can see in this region are like the coyotes, owls and snakes, scorpio and the vultures, lizards, sand vipers, hedgehogs, and the monitor lizards, and also brown squirrels, mice, brown squirrels, mice, ostrich, mice, ostrich and Saharan cheetahs. So these are some animals which we can find in the tropical or hot deserts. So they are the coyotes, owls, snakes, scorpions, vultures, lizards, sand vipers and the hedgehogs, monitors, lizards, ground squirrels and the monitor lizards and the mice, ostrich, Saharan cheetahs. So these are some of the animals which we can find in the tropical or hot deserts. The mostly the ground squirrels and some of the reptiles and all, they usually they will come out during the night because their reptiles means some the sand vipers and snakes and all. So they crawl on the ground. So what happened? To prevent their body from the extreme climatic conditions, because during the daytime it is very hot. the Kora tribe in Western Australian deserts. The Kora in Western Australian desert and Bedouins in Arabian deserts and Tuaregs in Sahara deserts. The Tuaregs in Sahara deserts. So these are some primitive tribes in the tropical or hot deserts. So these are the different tribes. The Bushmen, they are found in the Kalahari deserts. Kora, they are present in the Western Australian deserts. And Bedouins, they are present in the Arabian deserts. And the Tuaregs present in the Sahara deserts. So these are some of the tribes. So here in this we have learned about what are the deserts and types of deserts and the climate, location, flora, fauna and the human life in the tropical or hot deserts. Right? So I hope you have understood this, and in the next class we can discuss about the temperate or the cold deserts, and with this I will conclude my today's class. If you have any queries, you can contact me and clarify doubts. Thank you. Have a great day.